Okay, so we are back again today with Anne with an E, Season 3, Episode 7. Oh my gosh, so close to the end. I really want to get into this one, so I don't have much to say. Full-length reactions will be available on the Patreon, linked in the description down below if you're interested in that. The reason I do this is comments, for sure, so comment your favorite part of the episode, the reaction, whatever you'd like. I'm sorry that this has taken longer. Things have been crazy. I can't even talk about all of it right now, so just know that I am going to finish it. We're still here. I promise. We're still here. We're still chugging along. And let's get into Anne with an E, Season 3, Episode 7. I am nervous, though. I'm like, what did she write? I mean, it's going to be a sleigh, probably, but... Ugh. Oh. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh. Oh, this is bad! I don't... Ugh.
We can't have this dirty bit of business mar the arrangements between you and Billy.
This isn't about whose fault it is.
Fault? I didn't stop.
It is of no concern who did or didn't.
Should be.
We'll simply do whatever it takes to get him back.
He's not a nice boy.
Nice isn't relevant. I hate to tell you, and it's a hard truth you'll come to understand. You put yourself in a situation. That was a choice. Now you have a reputation. And girls with reputations do not have choices. Well, you seem to be all in one piece now. How about
Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Don't I, as a woman, deserve to even have an opinion? Don't you? What about when Matthew didn't so much as consult you when he made the deal with the bank that almost cost us Green Gables?
Why was it only Josie who ran out of the church crying?
It's so hard, because, like, Anne is right in a lot of ways, but she's wrong in other ways. Like, it's true. That was not... It is the place, but it also is absolutely not the place.
This is rich. Did all of you conveniently forget I was in exactly the same situation 2 years ago? Billy can fix this by requalifying Josie's reputation. Isn't it amazing how she can be the talk of the town today and somehow simultaneously yesterday's news?
Have some perspective, dear.
She has the most perspective out of any of you.
I can think of one smell that's worse than male desperation. Hypocrisy.
So true, bestie. So true. Oh, I live for her. Absolutely. Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord.
College transformed her into quite the little wordsmith.
There it is. Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about Josie. That much is clear. Diana.
Apologize
Yeah.
to Josie.
You can do that without apologizing, like, for the principle and the beliefs. I don't know why it's making me want to cry. Oh! I mean...
You've always been jealous of me.
Oh.
You couldn't rise to my level, so you brought me down to yours.
Josie. Oh, it's so rough. This is really, like, hard. I was gonna say, maybe I'm just tearing up because it's, like, the generations of, I don't know, trauma and misogyny and patriarchy and assault on women and, you know, that type of stuff. Just in my bones. But this is really rough because I see both sides really well. And, like, that was not the way to do it. Slapping Anne, obviously, but, like, Josie has a point as well.
This isn't about what Anne wrote. This is about what's fair.
What's fair? My piece is literally and precisely called What is Fair?
Anne, it's time to listen. Gilbert, please elaborate.
This Stacy just never, she always hits. Like, I'm just like, it's time to listen. What a great way to say that.
So at the fair, I could have sworn I saw you negotiating for an attractive new parcel of land. Wife.
At its core, the piece was stirring and thought-provoking. In a larger newspaper with a broader readership that is...
That's really the
changing
problem.
Times. But in order for big, new ideas to take hold, they must be carefully planned and flawlessly executed. Your rashness ruined an opportunity.
Especially during this time, because now it's too emotionally charged and...
These are children.
Not as though this is the first provocation.
Certainly not. I recall an article on the savage natives who run around in our woods doing God knows what.
Getting a little off topic. Why don't we...
What about that obituary for the colored woman?
Her name was Mary.
I have really...
Speaking as a mother.
I wasn't quite finished.
Well, she wasn't quite finished when you started to interrupt, but okay. Guess that doesn't matter.
Why don't you run along and deliver the news to Miss Stacy? From one woman to another.
weather mirrored the emotions the characters are feeling?
I didn't notice. But I like it when the creature steals a dog sled. That was crazy.
You're a handsome creature. You have that in your favor. We could think of something else to do. Instead of talking.
Yeah, me too, Jerry. I don't feel good about that interaction.
Anne stood up for a person who suffered a
And that's why he's
That person
the
could have
kid.
easily been you. Women matter on their own, not in relation to a man.
Any lies
Who here
detected? No.
disagrees? Do you know more about the contents of Ruby's mind than she does?
I barely know one thing.
I certainly know more than that.
Women are not made whole by men. Women are made whole. You know she'd stand up for any one of you, even in spite of what you're saying about her. She'd do
So
what's right.
true.
That's who she is.
And that's Gilbert's power. He just goes on a little monologue and then everyone forgives her. Everyone sees the error of their ways. Oh, I wish Anne could have heard what Gilbert just did and said.
Play mother, won't you, Pris? There's a dear.
Play mother, won't you, dear?
No milk. I'll do it.
As I was saying, that one contract could stabilize our earnings and protect us in the case of...
Now it's cold.
Because nobody admits anything they've done! Even over coffee from a pot, none of you want to touch! You're a fucking dog!
What is there to even say?
Said in my eagerness to do good, I did you harm. I didn't mean to, but I did.
There you go.
You needn't forgive me, Josie. That you can slap me again. How did you know to write about equality and dignity? It's not as though you've had a lot of experience with that. For most of my life, I've had to fight the idea of trash. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Josie.
No one but you is allowed to dictate what you're worth.
So true. That's a great quote.
Anne, can I talk to you? I need advice. It's about my girl. I like her so much. We walk together. We read the same book. We've kissed.
Jerry. How surprising.
She seems to like the kissing parts, but not the part where we talk.
Oh.
It makes me feel like I'm not good enough. And I guess that's true. She's rich, and I'm poor. So how could she ever really like me?
Jerry, stop. It sounds like she's degrading you. Frankly, she doesn't sound like a very nice person.
Diana's your best friend. So she didn't even tell you? You see, she's ashamed to be with me.
So it's crazy.
I still like you.
I liked you too. I don't want anything from you. Least of all, redemption.
Period. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you, Josie.
Who are you here to see? Me or Jerry?
It started weeks before that.
Weeks?
It doesn't mean anything.
How can kissing someone repeatedly not mean anything? I don't know. I thought the kisses meant something, but then they didn't. But then I didn't want them to stop, even though they didn't.
You're not
mean
making any sense.
That's why I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
You should have never gotten involved with him. It's ridiculous.
Why is that?
You know why?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Is that what you're doing with me? Biding time until you can step into your preordained life full of architecture and fine cheese? No. Yes, I've never been good enough for you either. Don't you dare. I have always stood by you from the first day we met. You're nullifying our whole friendship over this one small trespass. And Shirley Cuthbert and her tragical tale of woe.
Ooh.
No one is more hurt than you, and you win.
No, Diana, you win. Because the world always lets girls like you win.
If you were my friend, you would understand. Oh, clearly you're not.
You never were.
Oh my god! Y'all sobbing in each other's faces, being like, I guess we were never friends. I guess I never liked you. Like, you're literally sobbing. Oh, that was... Oh, this whole episode has just been, like, so much. They were both making points, but they were both so wrong. And
Prissy is developing an independent mind.
It put a roof over your head and nice clothes on your back. We ladies didn't have to lift a finger. I am all for it.
the different type of women in patriarchy.
Have faith. Just a suggestion. Not telling you what to do.
Ugh. That's a preview of their marriage. Shit like that's gonna happen all the time. Oh, they're such cute duties. Ruby, she is so stinking cute. Harriet!
Hey, there is a meeting in session. If you don't
Let them cook, Rachel.
Good morning. They have a right to their say.
Oh, period, Marilla. Absolutely.
Provoke.
Period, Josie. Mm. Me too, Rachel.
Go on. Now get down from that.
Period. Caught red-handed.
Control your children.
No, actually.
And they are not out of control.
That part. Exactly. That part, Miss Stacy. I love that bitch so much. Absolutely. Don't tell me. Don't tell me we're having a moonlight rendezvous. I have enough of those in my life. I can't handle another. Not my personal life, my media consumption life.
Who knew we'd make such a good T?
I did. And that's super cute. You're referencing the little spelling bee. I didn't forget, but I did.
Winifred is a lovely guy. Thank you for today.
I mean, you know what? It's one step closer in the right direction. I can't even tell what's happening. I mean, we knew it was those men, of course. What are they taking away? The, like, printing press, I guess? Under the cover of night. Sneaky. Okay, well, then I thought that, too. Not leaving on a potential arson cliffhanger. Okay, that episode was chock full of so much stuff. I literally don't even remember everything that happened. I just remember that, like, every scene, there was a million thoughts banging around in my head. Yeah, so Anne publishing that, I definitely understand what she's talking about. In a lot of ways, she's right. But, yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, she's wrong. She's wrong for that. And it's just such a disaster. Like, it's just such a nightmare to see, like, all these people reading it, and, like, Billy's parents, and Josie's parents, and Josie, and, like, all these, like, all the different interpretations, and rumors and gossip that's going to come around about it. And, you know, she didn't mention Josie, but of course everyone, I think, knows, right? Like, it's like pretty, well, I mean, maybe it was Josie that made that confirmed that, but, you know, yeah, it's just, it was the same thing as her, like, marching up to Billy last episode. Like, I live, and I'm like, absolutely, yes, period. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, but I don't know if that's the right thing. Like, especially for Josie's sake, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, Josie's parents then, whoo, goodness gracious. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? Like, it's not at all surprising in the slightest. But it is just, like, heart-wrenching nonetheless, and frustrating to see, because it's like, you really want her to marry him? Okay. Okay, so you're literally trying to, like, go save the marriage after he assaulted your daughter. Oh, and asking her, of course, like, what did she do to put herself in that situation? Classic. I mean, did we expect anything else from a man? Apparently not. And the mom I found very interesting. The mom I found more interesting, I think, because it's a little less typical. Reminds me a little bit of some of the scenes with, like, Alicent and, well, I mean, it's a woman that's resigned, right? Like, she doesn't agree with it. Fundamentally, she understands that it's fucked up, but she's just accepted it. And she is of the mind that other people should just accept it too. And so it was very interesting because it's like a bittersweet thing. Like, there is some true comfort and camaraderie and bond there, but there's also just like, you are not there for your daughter. You are not doing what's right for her. But that's all she's ever known either. And, you know, she was, you can tell that it's like a generational trauma thing, especially for women in this position at this point. And, like, her just being like, yeah, I mean, not a lot of boys are nice or something like that. Like, just, it's just, it's really heart-wrenching. But very interesting. I like that. It has definitely another layer of complexity to it. Ooh, Prissy's arc this episode was very interesting. I'd love to see it. She's a queen. I mean, she's everything. What else is there to say? Like, I love that she is speaking her mind against her own family, even. Like, that she's saying what she thinks and what she feels. I'm so glad she got away from that man and got to go open her mind up. I'm really glad also that her mom was supporting her, because her dad was very much shutting her down. There were a few moments where her mom gave her, like, a glance of approval, or was kind of, like, sticking up for her and being like, well, she has her own mind, and, like, things like that, which I love to see. But again, it's a dynamic where the mom herself is not in a position where she feels the nerve to speak out or to have her own mind about it. But she does recognize that her daughter does, and is trying to preserve that a little bit. I mean, I'm not surprised. Their dad, he's the worst. You know, if Billy's like that, it checks out. It makes sense. The younger one, you know, she's interesting. She vacillates back and forth to me. I think she definitely reads as young to me. She just reads as, she reads as someone who's like, you know, she's that kind of girl, that kind of woman under these oppressional systems, who just, again, is like almost like a suck up. You know, I'm not like other girls. This puts a clothes on your back, so you should be grateful. Things like that. Not questioning the status quo. And it is, you know, there's an interesting debate to be had about, like, how much of that is useful, how much of that should be implemented, and how much should be questioned and fought against. But it's just it gives very, like, brainwashed to me. I'm like, oh, but you know what, maybe that's what she's just doing, and she's just decided that's what she wants to believe in, and that's the way that she wants things to be. And she doesn't want to, you know, question things, so she's gonna have to be okay with the way that things are. And if that's what she's decided for herself, then that's what she needs to be. So it makes sense. But again, it does seem very young. It seems like she just hasn't questioned these things, and she doesn't really care to. And she definitely doesn't understand, like, the complexity of it. Like, her being like, I don't understand why this is such a bad thing. She's confused. She's genuinely, like, confused. But yeah, she has a very simple, kind of naive, childish mindset about it. Diana and Jerry was weird. I mean, I'm with Jerry on this one. Like, we love Diana, generally speaking, but it was weird. The vibes were off. I did not like it. I didn't like it. I really didn't like to see it. I was like, ooh. And then I really didn't like her to be like, oh, let's kiss. And then that was weird. Like, the whole thing is just like, ooh, yikes. I really don't like seeing Jerry in that situation. And I know that Diana's confused, and especially all this other stuff that has been going on around kissing and consent and reciprocation of feelings has gotten her confused even more so than, like, what this is. But yeah, that class difference is really showing up. And, you know, in a way that I don't like to see of Diana. You know, like, we've seen so much of her combat that this entire time that it feels a little, like, just disheartening to see her not in this instance. But I mean, she makes some points too. It's like, yeah, I mean, societally, they're not compatible. They're not gonna work. It's not, like, acceptable. She is not thinking outside of convention or outside those rules. So it makes sense why she thinks that. I wish she would just, like, completely set him free, if that's the case then. I think it's very interesting also, like, her exploration of, like, can I have sexual attraction without romantic interest or, like, compatibility? That's very interesting. That's definitely a tidbit that they snuck in there that is a very interesting part of all of this. But I just hate seeing it happen to Jerry. Gilbert's speech was great. He's so right. He's such a king for that. This is why we love him. He's elite. He's creme de la creme, top tier. Like, yeah, exactly. He was spitting straight facts, and he set everybody straight. Thank you very much. But it is very interesting to see the different roles that people take on, like Moody reverting to that, and even Tilly, you know, like the way that she kind of, it's just interesting to see where the cards fall, like where everyone falls once all is said and done. Because then they're really faced with a decision of, like, where they want to go and what they believe in and what they're going to stand up for and which way they're going to, you know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting to see where everyone landed or reverted back to or was doing out of a defense mechanism or, like, coping or just going back to what they know, what's comfortable to them. So I don't blame anybody necessarily. It is, like, hard to see, but it's very accurate. You know, I don't think everyone would be immediately on board the way that Anne is. I think you would have a lot of conflict getting there. But both Anne and Gilbert helped people see more clearly, and then by the end, we were all good. Prissy, you know, her being so angry at Anne, I completely understand. We didn't need to hit her, girl, but, like, I get it. I do. Because it's like, Prissy didn't ask for any of this. Prissy didn't ask to be involved in this larger conversation, or be, like, a spokesperson, or the person to, like, shoulder the conversation, or bring the topic up of assault, or equality, or, you know, broodmares, or any of that type of stuff. Like, she didn't ask for any of it in the first place. She certainly didn't ask to be, like, involved, or be at the center of the political discussion around it. Not that it's necessarily wrong for Anne to discuss the politics of it, but I understand why she's frustrated and isolated, for sure. And, you know, again, reverting back to, like, the you're trash, more of a bully, I don't really see that as... I mean, I hate to see it, right? Like, I don't want to see her acting that way and saying those things, but she's lashing out. Like, she's hurt, she's wounded, she's trying to figure things out. I don't think it's really indicative of her as a person, which we saw. You know, she ended up, like, defying her parents at the end and going to join the cause and going to stand with them. So we saw that in action later. I found Rachel's scene with all the other men very interesting, very subtle, but very apparent themes being discussed and introduced there. It was very clear that she was not being listened to, that she was not being taken seriously. And I liked seeing Rachel have that realization as well, simultaneously with this thing that has to do with, like, women's rights or equality or things like that. Like, she's realizing in real time her own experience, and then realizing how necessary that type of piece actually is. Whereas, actually, I think a lot of times Rachel would be fighting against that type of thing. And their behavior to her just made her realize, like, well, did she lie? Did she lie? I love Miss Stacy always and forever. Like, she's just such a queen. Everything she does is absolutely perfect. So calibrated so well. Not too much, not enough. Like, she's a genius. She's brilliant. I think she's perfection. The fight between Diana and Anne was really interesting. There were a lot of things. They were both saying things that were very valid, but also things that I was like, oh, no, that's not really it. I liked that Anne still stayed centered on Jerry, though, because, like, while some of it did make her question their relationship, I in my head, when that scene started, I was like, I hope it doesn't, like, turn into a whole thing, because, like, I want that to be addressed. Like, I want Anne to be upset about that. I love that Jerry went to Anne in the first place. They had a little sibling moment. But, like, I love that Anne had a problem with the fact that, like, Diana was making Jerry feel bad about himself, you know, because that is an issue that I have. So I would like to see people have an issue with that and that issue be addressed. Obviously, Diana's in, like, somewhat of a tough spot. She's very young. She doesn't really understand this is her first, like, foray into this. It's hard. Nobody's giving her good examples. Certainly no one is giving her instruction on, like, how to navigate a class difference like that. So I'm not trying to harp on her for that, but it is what it is. I think, you know, there's room for growth. But I think some of the things that she was saying were completely valid and correct as well. And yeah, they were going back and forth. Again, I was just like, I mean, not really, but also kind of, but yes, and yes you, but you know, it was that type of thing. Like, they kept spitting facts and then being like, oh, okay. And interesting, like, them addressing certain dynamics of, like, Anne being the one who always has it worst, that kind of resentment building up, potentially. Diana being spoiled, more privileged, that type of thing. So there was a lot that was discussed there that I found very interesting and, like, layered and complex. But I'm glad. It's like, I like that it's a fight over something real. You know what I mean? I feel like other fights that they've had have been, like, kind of ridiculous, whereas, like, this I feel like is rooted in something very real. Oh, and Diana saying that, like, basically I knew you wouldn't understand. Because she's trying to navigate, like, her feelings for Jerry, and she's like, wait, are they romantic? I don't know that they are, but I do like kissing him. But I know that Anne, as the romantic that she is not going to understand that. She's going to judge me for it. And, you know, say of that what you will, but that's, you know, I understand her logic there. Now, is it right for Anne to do that? Maybe. If it's hurting Jerry, you know, maybe it is right for her to judge that. Maybe it is right for Diana to take a second look at that and go, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. But the whole thing was just very interesting, all of that. I love seeing everybody team up in the end. It's very quintessentially what we love about the show. Learning, growth, spread of knowledge, open-mindedness, uniqueness, diversity, things of that nature. Prissy was great for joining. I was so glad that Josie joined. I was glad that Marilla spoke up. Oh my gosh, she's not one to do that, but, you know, she has her little backbone, you know, that has been nurtured by Anne and by raising Anne. And so she stood up to them, and they all did. And I love to see it. So yeah, I'm sure I could go on about this, but generally those are my first thoughts and first reactions to Anne with an E Season 3, Episode 7. If you enjoyed this, please comment down below and let me know. Let me know your favorite part of this episode, this reaction, whatever you'd like to say. Comment. That is the reason I do it and keep doing it. And again, my Patreon will be linked in the description down below, so you can go check that out if you want to see full-length, unedited, watch-along reactions to Anne with an E. And I will see you for Anne with an E Season 3, Episode 8.